Friday night starting tonight at 8.
Uncle Beric, you don't really want to kiss Dad.
Of course I don't want to kiss him. Who would want to kiss him? But I've got to kiss him, so I'm going to kiss him. Come here, Simon.
I can't stand it. I'm doing this. Well, what are we going to do with him?
Me and My Girl at 8:30. New Tales of the Unexpected.
People are buying it. My wife couldn't put it down. Tragic and very sexy, she said.
And at 9, a new series of the thriller Flood Tide gets underway.
Master of disguise.
Time is running out and the hunt is on.
A name. Whose? The main man in France.
A new look on LWT tonight.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello, a warm welcome to the first 6 o'clock show of 1988. Hope you're fit and well. I'm suffering from a touch of 12th night nail. Comes from prizing all those tin tacks out of the decoration. Very painful. Didn't cry, though. Exciting news in television. Forget about the leapfrogging of senior executives between ITV and BBC. The big news is that EastEnders is being shown in America. And Danny Baker has been appointed British ambassador in Washington to help with the translations. As usual, animals filled the New Year's headlines. The weirdest story was an elderly nature lover in South Africa went out into the bush, took all his clothes off and shot himself so that the vultures could have a nice dinner. It's true. And back home, a falling pheasant landed on the wife of the man who shot it. She went to hospital, she came out, she ate the pheasant, then she got tummy trouble. So the score is 2-2 at the moment. You didn't wish to know that, of course. What you want to know is what's in tonight's show. Well, we shall be seeing if it's true that black cabs hate going south of the river.
Lewisham, please.
We shall be getting a sneak preview of some new products for the new year. And celebrating 500 issues of teen photo romance. Very
just
sweet.
look down in that...
In fact, Chris Tarrant is out in Covent Garden now, about to bring a little romance and perhaps fame into some of our younger viewers' lives. Tell us about it, Chris.
Well, in fact, little do these Covent Garden shoppers know, Mike, but in fact, before the end of the show tonight, 2 of them will be shot to national stardom as new photographic models for My Guy magazine. They mustn't have acne, they mustn't have greasy hair, but they must show a range of facial emotions. Excuse me, London Weekend Television, we're looking for people to do a range of facial expressions. That's one of the cameras over there. You're on live at the moment. Could you do rage for me? Rage? Happiness? Great happiness? Lust? Yes, well, we give lust a bit of a miss, I think. Right, we're going to get 2 before the end of the show to be in My Guy.
It looked like constipation to me, but it was a nice try. I shall be joined in the studio by Danny and Emma and by someone with the longest-serving voice in British politics.
The Right Honourable Welsh Windbag is perfectly well aware I don't wear a wig.
Who can it be? Before we find out who that was, we pay our first visit to the new service that LWT will be providing every Friday and right through the weekend, bringing you up-to-the-minute news and weather information. Here is LWT News with Pam Royle.
In the first edition of LWT News, a big demonstration in East London tonight and a fire scare at King's Cross. Also, why a London borough wants fewer old people and a do-it-yourself nightmare for a couple in Dorking. First, that demonstration. Hundreds of people are expected to take part in an anti-police march in the Hackney area in just over an hour's time. It's a protest over the deaths of 2 men and the injury of another in 2 police stations at Stoke Newington and Dalston in the past 5 years. Maxine Mawini has the story.
The demonstrators claim relationships between the police and the black community in Hackney have broken down. Tonight's march is designed to draw public attention to what the organisers allege is police brutality and racism.
There's a great deal of hostility and resentment about what is seen as very heavy-handed policing of black people in Hackney and Stoke Newington, and more specifically about the very numerous complaints that we've received, both at this town hall and through community groups about Stoke Newington Police Station.
An emotive moment in the march will be as wreaths are laid at Stoke Newington Station, where 3 people died, the last being Colin Roach in 1983. And then at Dalston, where the 25-year-old Turk Tunai Hassan died last June. An inquest into the cause opens next week, but his family blames the police for his death.
We feel that there's a lot of questions to be answered. Personally, I'm very bitter. I'm extremely angry.
Complaints against 8 police officers in the Hackney area are currently being investigated, 6 at Stoke Newington and 2 at Dalston. But the police deny relationships are strained.
Relationships have been gradually and steadily improving over the last 5 years and more through a great deal of effort by local police officers that is continuing. There are allegations that police have been responsible in some way for the deaths of 2 people and the injury of another over the last 5 years. In none of those cases are police responsible in any way for the injuries or the deaths.
A fire broke out at King's Cross Station today on the same escalator as the blaze that caused the death of 31 people. Hundreds of passengers were evacuated, others were put onto passing trains as the station was closed for 10 minutes. Fire and police officers arrived as a helicopter surveyed the scene. It's believed today's fire was caused by workmen repairing the escalator. It came only hours after forensic scientists had carried out a reconstruction of the November fire. Bromley Council is launching a campaign to stop the borough becoming a granny's ghetto. It fears government planning inspectors are allowing too many sheltered homes for old folk to be built there. Mark Dyson has the story.
Priory Lodge, completed 6 months ago, is home to 32 elderly people. In Bromley, sheltered accommodation accounted for 40% of all new homes started last year, and the Borough Council claims it's getting out of hand, a claim that's outraged many of the senior citizens.
Well, we've all got to get old one day, haven't we? I mean, what can you do about it?
The older people, they live in fear, some of them, don't they, in flats? And I think while they're here, they're more happier, aren't they?
Bromley has opposed many developments on the grounds that too great a concentration of elderly accommodation would change the face of the borough, as well as putting intolerable pressures on the NHS. But they were overruled by the government. So now they're looking for support from neighbouring councils to return planning control to the boroughs.
We are not driving away the grannies. We welcome the grannies, but we only want development in a style in keeping with the character of the neighbourhoods that people want in this borough.
Their action in adopting the new policy will, if upheld, prevent sheltered housing being constructed. And I think that's wrong.
Caught in the middle, all the old folks want is to enjoy their tipple in peace and feel welcome in the community. Mark Dyson, LWT News.
Every handyman's nightmare has come true for a couple at Westcourt near Dorking. A simple do-it-yourself job has landed them with bills for £70,000. And the spending isn't over yet. Gail Goodwin reports.
The builders are still at work on Tricia and Ian Matlock's village shop and post office. It's Grade 2 listed, dates from the early 1600s, and the new problem they found is that the beams in the cellar are rotten. It may cost several more £1,000 to put right, on top of the £70,000 the couple have already spent. Tricia's resigned to that, but she still can't believe how this do-it-yourself nightmare started.
My husband removed some shelves to give me a bit more room for manoeuvre. And he took the shelves that were down here and across there to build some shelves there. Removed those and found a 6 to 9 inch gap that grew daily.
Tricia and Ian decided to make the best of the worst and have an extension built while the wall was being repaired. It should have cost £16,000, but one thing led to another. The chimney was dangerous, the roof timbers were rotten, the front wall was unsafe, and the floor had to be resurfaced.
It's been a nightmare, it's been funny, it's been everything.
The indomitable Matlocks now face the saddest possible outcome. Unless business picks up, they may have to sell their vastly improved home and business to pay the bills. Gail Goodwin, LWT News.
Southend could be without a league soccer team next season after the council turned down plans for a new £9 million stadium. Third Division Southend United say they're committed to selling their current ground to Tesco's for £11 million for a superstore. They wanted to build a 12,000-seat stadium and sports club on a new site, but lost their planning application last night. Now the club's chairman, Vic Jobson, says they've no alternative but to look outside the town. A London university lecturer claims that up to 16,000 jobs will go in the 4 Thames regional health authorities by the mid-1990s. Dr. John Mohan of Queen Mary College told a conference in Loughborough today he's made a detailed study of the health authorities' plans. It's the first time anyone has put a figure on the extent of planned job cuts. Most are believed to be ancillary staff. A man's been given 4 life sentences at the Old Bailey for raping 4 women around Brixton in 1986. Gary Dixon attacked his victims from behind and held a knife to their throats. Police now want to interview him about 5 other attacks. Plans for another giant shopping development off the M25 have gone on show in Staines. The Hanover project would be bigger than Brent Cross in North London and would take over an industrial estate where some businesses have been for more than 10 years. The local council say its size makes it totally unacceptable. The Department of Transport say it would cause more problems on the M25. The Department of the Environment will decide after a public inquiry which starts later this month. Anglers in Hertfordshire are demanding action by the Electricity Board to make river and canal banks safer. They say there's a danger from overhead power lines. Rob Gillis reports.
This is one of the most popular stretches of canal in the country for anglers. Thousands fish here each year, but a few weeks ago, warnings were posted that they did so at their own risk. The death of an angler in Oxfordshire after his rod touched an overhead power line fueled fears of a similar tragedy here, where power cables are strung out along 600 yards of the most popular stretch. Anglers say it would be very easy for an accident to happen.
Just by striking at a fish and lifting his rod up in the air and he can touch it. And it has been done. Fortunately, nobody's been hurt yet.
The anglers insist it's the Electricity Board's duty to make the cables safe.
Well, they are our cables. They've been up here for 40-odd years, and they are safe. The only unsafe action is when someone brings a metallic-type conductor close to them.
The Electricity Board says lagging cables or putting them underground wherever there's a problem would be prohibitively expensive, and the anglers should pay for the work themselves. The arguments are now being put to a national working party. Rob Gillis, LWT News.
A 74-year-old Harrow woman who died in October has left £170,000 to the Northwick Park Hospital. Mrs. Phyllis Boland's will said it was to mark the care and treatment she received there. Other people making the news in the region today, May Slade from Chingford has just been called up for jury service, but she has a good excuse for not turning up. She's 96 years old. The disqualifying age for jurors is 65. Teachers from the remote Atlantic island of St Helena are visiting schools in Hertfordshire. It's an exchange visit. The island has recently bought £350,000 worth of schools equipment from the county. An exclusive habit from a bygone era is making a comeback with a totally different group of people. Portrait painting is back in fashion. And as Gail Goodwin reports, it's no longer the preserve of the landed gentry.
Working from the unlikely base of a studio behind a used car showroom in Wandsworth, Howard Morgan is one of London's most successful portrait painters. He's not looked back since his first major commission from Lord Hume of the Hersal in 1978. But now, as well as the titled and aristocratic, he's painting a new breed of sitters, city whiz kids, stockbrokers, and people with a distinctly unaristocratic background. Caroline Ricketts is typical. She's the wife of an insurance broker.
My husband thought it would be a nice idea, as we've just got married and I'm going to be 30 this year, before I get any older really, to record me as I am at the moment.
Howard Morgan's paintings sell for up to £26,000 and are now as likely to be seen in flats in the Barbican as in country homes.
I suppose it's when people start making money, you know, if you buy a house, you know, you buy furniture to put in it. It's quite natural, and pictures.
Howard Morgan would especially like to paint comedians, especially Frankie Howard. Then he'd really be laughing all the way to the bank. Gail Goodwin, LWT News.
Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, would have been 53 today, and the fact that he died 10 years ago didn't stop his fans in the capital from throwing a birthday party.
Britain's biggest Elvis Presley centre is here in Shoreditch. Elvis Lee Yours, which opened 5 years ago, is the brainchild of former Barrow boy Sid Shaw. The place has become a mecca for fans from all over the world who stop off when they're passing through the capital. Sid's line is memorabilia, but his recent personal memories of the King are not happy. He's being sued by Elvis's ex-wife Priscilla in America to stop him selling Elvis merchandise over there. Ironically, the Presley estate used to sell Sid's gear. Now he's preparing to fly across to defend the court action.
And all we're trying to do is keep Elvis's memory alive. And what's she done for Elvis since he died?
But today, that didn't stop the fans celebrating in the only way they know how.
That's the news. Now back to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Pam. Hear from you a bit later. Looking forward to that. And I've been joined, as usual, by those timeless people, Danny and Emma.